All right, appreciate everyone coming to this board meeting today on October the 7th. Sarah Jane, as I mentioned, is, I think, well, I know where she's at. She's across the seas enjoying a vacation. So in protocol with the bylaws of the Building Code Board of Appeals, Adrian Jones will step in as the vice chair. If there's ever a time where the vice chair is gone and the chair is gone, then we do a quick vote for chair pro tem in that regard. I don't think I've ever had to do that. So with that, Vice Chair, I would recommend calling the meeting to order.
All right, I want to call the meeting to order at what time? 3 o'clock. There you go. Wow, that's prompt. That's good.
We have a quorum of 8.
We do have a quorum of 8. I don't think we need, we shouldn't have to call roll, should we? No.
No, we'll make note of who.
Okay, who's
absent.
president?
Yeah,
Who's that?
yeah.
That'll be in the next minutes. Okay, Matt, can you bring up the minutes? I think the first order of business typically is to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. I don't know who else had an opportunity to review them.
Okay. That might be it.
Because they're
No,
video.
it's
There. Laura, okay. There is video if anybody wants to go back and review the video.
this is it.
I watched it too.
Section
Is
A.
that it?
Yeah, that's it.
This is
'cause I
what it
wasn't-
has been, yeah.
Okay, all right, then, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from, has everybody had a chance to review them? I guess that'd be the first question. Yes. Okay, do we have a motion to,
Oh, Mike's here.
hey, Mike, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, guys.
Sorry, we were prompt. I know it surprises everyone, but we were prompt
See
today.
what happened when I run the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, you just came in. Do you want to get a chance to review the minutes or have you reviewed the minutes?
I have reviewed them.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve.
Motion by
Kevin.
Kevin, second by Warren.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved.
Check.
Vice Chair, the next items on the regular agenda. I would make the recommendation that we go out of order here. And if the board is okay with that, we will go through Article 13, 14, 18 to get those off our plate. And then we can piggyback that with an electrical code conversation that we
Okay,
had.
okay, yeah, I certainly agree. Have we forwarded, Matt, have we forwarded the amendments, or do you have those available for Article 13 for us to review? And were there any amendments to the new code of note that you can think of? And then Brian, this is your deal, isn't it?
Yeah, he'll walk us through.
Yeah, I'll walk us through. each of
Okay,
these.
all right.
Yeah, are you good to go?
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so this, as you will see, everything that's struck through is recommended to be taken out. Everything that's underlined is new. I do want to remind the board that when we go through these and you get your approval, there will still be a final step that will have to go through the city attorney's office for their blessing. There could be instances where they will change something. Hi, Bobby. They will change something in our ordinance that you guys approved. If it's anything of significance, we'll bring it back for you for reconsideration. If it's a numbering or something that doesn't have any impact on what the code says, we will not bring that back for you for reconsideration. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands. Our city attorney might get one of these ordinances and go, Brian, this is wrong for this reason. And it's a significant enough change that we will bring it back to you for reconsideration. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. As I reminded you, our codes got renumbered with the 24 codification of all the city codes. So if you're wondering why Article 11 is now 13, it's because the Article 1 was broken out into 4 articles now. So everything moved up at least 2. So we have to renumber all the existing ordinances. And that's true for every code that you're looking at, including the electrical code and the ENC. So the first thing is building safety manager is a term that was used prior to our reorganization of our office. So I recommend just putting code official or designee. That's pretty common throughout other city code. So without specifying the code safety manager, that position technically does not exist anymore. So code official and designee just encompasses everything underneath my position. It could include Matt or someone else within our department, okay? Since then, I added the Lawrence Douglas County Fire and Medical, that's their official name. I took out the health officer. I don't know who the health officer of the city was. About 10, 12 years ago, I was designated the health officer at one point. We don't have that term. It's an outdated term. I recommend to strike that out.
And the building official will assume those duties.
Yes, the code official designee, yes. Other than that, we make changes. Mike Dever will not probably be he won't be the mayor next time, but we just have that there that's who the current mayor is. That is all for Article 13 dangerous structures. It's that simple. If you go up to 1101, Matt, blow that up. That last sentence of the 5-1101, it should be 13. I just realized I need to change 1101 to 3, 1301 and 1302. I'll make those changes. Real simple.
Here.
Yep. But KSA 12-1756 is the provisions the state outlines for dangerous structures. We have to follow those procedures and notification and durations of mailing of resolutions, publishing the resolutions in the local paper. Except, we have to give proper notice and wait a certain amount of time. We've always followed those guidelines. Nothing there changes. I just looked at 1750. It's actually 12-1750 to 1756. Those 6 code statutes under Kansas law haven't changed for years. So nothing changes there. So any questions on this? Probably be the simplest one we do, one pager.
All right, well, not to complicate anything, but what about the historic structures? Is that covered in the code? Is that going to be under it? Because
As far as what capacity?
well, there's always
Demolition?
Yeah, demolition.
It's in the next ordinance.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
all right.
good question. All right, so what I'll do is we'll probably make a motion to approve these collectively, all 3, when we're done talking to them. No, I see no questions on these. We'll move on to the next ordinance.
Okay, and the next ordinance 1414 is,
Demolition of structures.
okay, Brian.
Okay, this is Article 12 and is now Article 14, demolition of structures. You will see under demolition permit, the 2 becomes 5, the 3 becomes 6 because of that renumbering of the codification of the 24 codes. So anytime you see a number change, that's going to be it across the board, no matter what ordinance we look at. Once again, I took out building official, replaced it with code official, because you'll see there are some code official and building official listed throughout this document. When I took this position 4 years ago, the code official position was created. It's interchanged throughout many ICC codes, code, building official. So we're just going with code official to keep it consistent with all the other codes. So that's the first section. Nothing else changes. Same with notice requirements. Just that change there, same change.
Okay.
Here's where, Adrian, we go into a little bit of historic resources. We have Lynn Zollner, who's our historic resources administrator. She provided, she struck out environs and she put context area. That's her comment because we had her involved in this. So that's what she said. Inspection. Once again, code or designee is put there, building is struck out, continue down. This gets a little bit more to your question, Adrian. 1406A, we struck out building, put code. 1 and 2 are been changed a little bit. As you can see, Lynn did some strike throughs there. She added under 1, the context area thereof, struck out environs without a certificate of approval. We put or number 2, and there's a change there with the appropriateness and the approval we added the red. I added that based on a comment from a citizen that reviewed this ordinance. Last time we had it on the agenda, we didn't review. I asked Lynn, we needed to put an or on 2, like we did 1, to imply that 1, 2, or 3 could happen. It was missing that or. Pretty simple. Lynn provided the third, number 3 language. This is all in compliance with the HRC regulations, which we don't like to dive too much into. And then I just made those couple easy to read, determined that we struck out the building again, put code official. I won't, yep,
Two E's.
I smell the two E.
I was gonna.
Thanks, thank you.
I should have let Adrian say it.
Here we put, I'm recommending on variance, the Building Code Board of Appeals may authorize in a case. I don't think we want to take a variance to the governing body being the city commission. That's probably not something they want to hear. That's my recommendation. We'll see what the city attorney's office recommends on that. And that's the end of this article. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do we define anywhere building structure? I mean, I think the assumption is it's a freestanding structure. So let's say you have an attached garage or house that you want to knock over. Does that require, well, that's just part of the building permit, even if you're not doing anything to the house proper? It's probably just a semantics thing, but I didn't know if we define building structure anywhere.
We define building and structure independently of each other throughout the code. This code doesn't have it, but the IRC, the IBC, the property maintenance code probably all identify those.
Okay.
Those all should line up.
So it is defined.
It is definitely defined.
Okay.
Yes.
And if it's not specifically in this code, the code official can go to the definitions in the
Yeah.
codes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that we always struggled with swimming pools and whether they were a structure to be demolished.
Here's a better one, parking lot. To me, a structure goes vertical, in my opinion, but the code's very, the code is very concise on those definitions. It doesn't go into great detail.
The intent of the demolition permit is to not make the neighbors mad in the middle of the night, taking down a building, I assume.
Right, and make sure we don't take the wrong building down.
Okay.
Um,
Parking lot,
Yeah,
I'd love to see it stay. or
yeah,
go, but-
to expand, written in our code, there's a 30-day waiting period unless the code official or his designee determines it to be a life safety and imminent danger of collapse situation. We occasionally have done that. There was a property in the 1100 block or 1000 block of Rhode Island in the last 2 or 3 months where they submitted a building permit and we waived the 30 days to get it down because it was a safety hazard. So that happens not frequently, but it does happen on a probably an annual basis to some degree. So if there's no questions on that, that's pretty straightforward.
I have a question. Can you guys hear me online? It's
Yes.
Timberly.
Hi.
So Brian, we discussed that the current practice for demolition permits is per lot, and the permit covers all the structures on a lot. And this code specifically states that there's demo permit is required per structure. So I was hoping to see that had been changed before it gets voted on, because the current code doesn't align with our current practice. And
Good
also,
point. And I totally forgot that, so that's why I had you online.
and also,
Can we go to that section and we can open it up for some further discussion? And if, do you recall where that was, T?
It's
Is it-
down on the next something,
Is this us to really to
no, that's not it.
He says address.
And it was actually Catherine that caught this. Is Justin, are you online? No,
I'm online, I can't.
you can't comment. Oh, it's the very first 5-1401 demolition permit. It's that last sentence.
Oh, for each, obtaining a separate demolition permit for each
Yep.
building or structure. So what Timberly's saying is, why don't you give a little background real quick, Timberly, for the board, so I won't overstep what you're trying to convey.
Yeah, just current practice is we allow one demolition permit application per lot. So all of the structures on the lot can be included on the demo permit. So if you have a single family residence along with a detached garage and a 200 square foot shed that needs to be demolished, all of those can be included under one permit. We do not require them to pull a separate demo permit per structure. That's the current practice. And it was brought up that that's not what our code says.
So if we want to explore that, I would make some type of recommendation to say without first obtaining a demolition permit for all structures located on the property or something to that regard, right? Rather than not obtaining a separate demolition permit for each building or structure, we want to be able to say we can issue,
For each lot or parcel.
it seems kind of silly if we were requiring 2 demolition permits for 1 parcel.
Well, and we have apartment complexes. I know we have one that's coming up where it's down by the KU football stadium. They're gonna have 8 different buildings on 1 lot. I guess they're 2-family dwellings, but they're gonna demolish all of those. So we told them 1 application is needed rather than separate, 8 separate for all the buildings.
Somebody wrote a comment right
Kimberly, but that wouldn't
Real quick, Adrian. Timberly, once you, for people that may not know who you are, I think, and for the video portion of this, I think you need to identify your full name and position.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Timberly French. I'm the commercial plans examiner for the city of Lawrence.
Thank you.
Okay, Timberly, that wouldn't prevent individual reviews on each structure on the lot. Just.
That's
we're just
correct.
Talking about permit
We're talking about,
administrative.
we're talking administrative process.
Yeah, okay.
1 permit for the whole lot, yes, but each is reviewed separately. Our comments are made separately for each building.
So I would ask the board is if there's any opposition to changing that last sentence in 1401. If there's not, then,
What was the language you proposed?
well,
For each
we could do.
lot
is
or
it-
parcel.
Is it edit? Can you edit this document?
Yeah,
I mean, we could work through it real quick and knock it out and get it approved the way it's.
I mean, we would say here, Adrian, something to the effect of for each lot or parcel, we'd give it planning on the precise language.
Or would you do something like for each building or structure or multiple structures on 1 lot per lot or parcel?
You can
something
say
like that.
something like that.
Yeah, how about we do this rather than trying to work it out
hammer
now?
right now.
I will hammer it out and then we'll put this on the next agenda for a quick review of that for adoption. of That, okay?
Sounds right.
Okay,
I know with the HRC, we had problems all the time with somebody would, we want to tear down their garage. You know, their little 1-car garage that backs up to the alley. And
that's a whole different topic now.
yeah, but I'm telling you, they would let them do that, but they're not gonna let them tear down the house.
Yeah,
What happens if there's only 1 building that needs to be torn down? And you're giving them carte blanche to tear everything down if they want it.
no, they have to identify,
They just have to apply.
they have to still apply and identify, yeah, no,
Okay,
no.
It's kind of combining the
we're-
administrative parts of all these
Okay.
different
All right,
permits
all right.
into
No,
one.
they have to describe on the application part
Yeah.
what they're wanting to do.
Okay.
And then if it's HRC, if it's in then those multiple layers of HRC, then that's a full HRC review before we issue the permit.
Yeah,
Now, HRC will take our advice. If it's a dangerous and imminent threat to collapse, then they'll waive those HRC requirements in certain situations.
Could it even just reference the form they're filling out, the application? Could it be first obtaining a separate demolition permit as spelled out in the application?
Well, our application is no longer paper,
No.
so it's
Well,
on.
the demo permit is still paper, Brian.
See?
Yes. Demo is one
Little
because it has to have.
You still keep trouble.
Tim- Really, what's my day look like? Okay, we'll then try to figure it out right now. We'll come with some language 1401 for the board at the next board meeting for approval. Sound good? Okay,
Remember these example of prop cross from football stadium's a good one because all the buildings are really the same. Levels are all some adjacencies are different in terms of the streets. There's a big question about utility under one or so all detail will be there per structure in 1 application.
okay.
So run the
You
risk
guys-
also if there's if one of those is rejected, a bunch of questions of the whole thing. So that's something I would have to consider, allow 1 permit.
Okay, moving Article 15.
Okay.
I had one more thing. I'm sorry, everyone.
ahead.
I know
Right.
we had talked about this as staff and I didn't see it reflected here either. But the board did bring it up that there is quite a bit of confusion about what a demolition application is for. So we get nowhere here is it defined. And I think staff's interpretation is when an entire building, including the foundation, is completely removed. That's the only time a demolition application is appropriate. This code does not define that. So we get a lot of interpretation on, for example, we had a building that they tore down everything except the foundation and rebuilt it, and we let them do it as a remodel because the code isn't clear on what the demolition is. I would like to see that it's very straightforward and very defined on what the demolition permit application is for, because we get a lot of, like Neil brought up, an HRC where they want to tear down 3 walls and the roof, but they leave 1 wall, which allows them to actually consider that a remodel, but nowhere, we don't have a clear cut of demolition. So that's something that we talked about as staff, and I don't see that any of that has been changed.
Do you guys allow, like, on a commercial facility to go in and pull a separate demo permit before they get the other building permits? Like to bring walls down and everything just for remodel, but you still need a demo permit?
Yes, we do issue
Okay,
those.
that'd be
Yes.
different.
Those aren't demo
Deconstruction.
permits. That's the thing. Those aren't demos. So
Yeah,
this permit
Deconstruction.
here,
Yeah,
This
that's a
is
building
only-
permit.
right, this ordinance is only when a complete building is completely removed. So again, if they just want to leave a foundation and rebuild it, that is not this permit. That's a remodel. Because this code, this ordinance does not define what that demolition is.
So I think the big question of Timberley's summary, in my opinion, is do we want to define what demolition is within this ordinance? If so, we can do that. And what are the parameters? Is a 2-story building house in East Lawrence or Old West Lawrence or wherever, they apply for a building permit, remodel, residential, and they take everything down. I mean, this is a true story. This has happened.
It's happened.
HRC proves it because they kept 1 or 2 walls of the existing structure. And we have in my opinion, it's a demo. Is it taking the whole structure down? No, but they don't do a demo permit. They do a typical remodel building permit.
Yeah, and then the other problem with that, and it has been a problem, is that if it's a remodel, it can not conform for a new construction. It's practically a new building. In many cases, they can use the existing building code. It just really gets into a really tricky area, and contractors are aware of that. I mean, the laws will let them do what they want to do, but
So what I recommend we do is staff internally works on a definition of demolition under this code and identifies the parameters of that gives much more clear guidance to applicants moving forward.
it's not so much the demolition, it's the remodel and rebuild. Because we have allowed it, I keep saying we, excuse me, y'all, but
You.
I had allowed for them to take the structure down to the foundation if they demonstrated that it was a good foundation and not require them to, because some jurisdictions make you pull it all out. And so if it was a good foundation, why not reuse that foundation? But where do you go?
But I think that starts becoming internal department policy.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that's my opinion.
Right.
I think the role we can play is defining it more clear so it gives the applicant more direction on the front end. Then we make those internal decisions about whether they, cost savings, right?
Mhm.
Foundation is good.
Mhm.
We're going to say you can use it. Everything else needs to come up to code. Or we might do a site visit and say, look at this.
Yeah, take it out,
You got to take it out.
Mhm.
I don't think we can write that in the code. but I think we can give the guidance of what the parameters, the scope of it, what constitutes a demolition permit. Does that make sense?
And that sort of moves an existing building code to a certain degree
Right.
out of the demolition.
Right,
Where's
This
that?
amendment, yeah.
because then you're talking about what code do you review the plans under, right? And do you throw in the, if it's taken out in its entirety, the existing building code obviously doesn't play a part in this decision making.
That kind of goes back to how do we define building structure in this particular amendment or this ordinance?
Yeah. No, we'll do two things.
Sounds like we're
Thank you, Timberly. We'll do two things. We will define the last sentence in 1401, and then we will, heck, we might need more than one definition after we think about, we'll see. Maybe we throw in structure or building in there. I don't know. We'll talk about, but it will be probably section, can you scroll down, Matt? We'll throw in a definition section. It might be short and sweet. Or maybe we'll figure it out. And we'll go from there. Okay, so we'll bring this one back with those two changes for consideration. Okay? Anything else, T? Timberly?
Negative, thank you.
Okay. All right, so this is the one that really pertains to you guys individually because you guys are all members of the Building Code Board of Appeals. So this was Article 16, it's now 18. I don't think we made much changes to this. Obviously, the 18 additions now to 14, so you can scroll down, Matt. Just change code sections there. Real quick, I don't want to go through this. If anyone has questions, let me know. This section right here basically tells us it's 11 voting members. You remember about 6 years ago or so, the board structure changed. It was individual boards of 5 members, and this is the direction that we were told to go. So this, each of you, excuse me, fall into one of these categories. Adrian, you're number 10. B talks about the bylaws, and I will tell you this. There is a effort citywide. I don't know the timetable for every bylaws within the city government to be reviewed by city attorney's office. So we'll probably solve that initiative for us just by us doing this exercise here. Secretary, simply strike out building, put designee there, struck out his or her, renumbered. Did the same thing we talked about before with code versus building on the official. Same thing here. These are all regulations, how we handle appeals. Your 2 main duties, as we've mentioned before, are to act as the hearing board for appeals of interpretations or decisions matter I make and determine if those are valid, if we interpreted the code right, or if there's another way to to meet the code. And to serve on this board in the capacity that you're doing right now, as far as reviewing code adoption and giving the city staff guidance on how we proceed with that code adoption. That's pretty much it on this one. Can you scroll back up real quick,
Yeah,
Matt?
scroll back down. That language was, the language was make recommendation to the city commission or mayor. Was that it, or did it change it to here, make recommendation to the building code official?
Well, ultimately, I think it's worded that way is because what you decide in these meetings is ultimately presented to the city commission.
Okay,
Yep.
So the way we present that is when we go to the city commission to adopt these codes, the intro is going to talk about what role each of you played in it. And this is how we got to the point. This is what the board has told staff to bring before the commission for consideration.
okay. Well, I know it used to say, make recommendation to the mayor, and city commission. It used to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's
Instead of
changed.
governing body, right?
I think this was changed within the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Once again, city attorney's office will look at this in its entirety. If there's anything significant that they make a change to, we're going to bring it back. If it's one word here and there, I'm not too concerned. I'm full transparency. If it's anything that's going to cause discussion or may cause discussion, we'll bring it back.
Okay.
Okay, all right. got three. Well, we got two done.
Hold on.
Oh,
Okay, so is there someplace else in the code or somewhere where it talks about the other side of this? I mean, let's say I wanna appeal something. Is there something that describes the process that I need to go to?
yes,
Okay. it's
absolutely.
Somewhere else.
Oh, yes,
I
it's,
know it is,
it's in
but
the
I've read it.
administration, Article 1 of Chapter 5.
Okay, all right.
It, it
All right,
gives you,
this sounds great.
yeah, it gives you the timeline that you have to appeal after a decision is made by me or Matt or designee. You have so many days, I think 14 days to appeal to the Building Code Board of Appeals. It tells you what you have to basically stake in your claim of why you think the decision was made in error and so forth. And then if it even talks about if the board votes in favor of the city staff, they have the next appeal process is taken to the district court of Douglas County. Yes, it's spelled out very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you remove that language referring to the manifest injustice?
I don't know exactly what you're referring, what section you're referring to.
Okay, well, it used to be in the Building Code Board of Appeals that there was language that said if there was a manifest injustice created, that was one of the reasons the board had to, could make a decision on, you'd have to go back and look at the language,
Well, you're talking about this code here specifically?
about the Building Code Board of Appeals.
Okay, that doesn't ring a bell to me, but
Okay.
we can look at that.
Okay.
Be where you said it was, Article 1 or Articles 1, 2, 3, or 4, whichever.
Well, I'm not clear if Adrian's referring to this.
I thought
section.
it was under the building, maybe it's been removed, but I know it was in there and it caused a lot of consternation.
That doesn't ring a bell to me.
Okay, all right, maybe that was.
It might,
before your
it might,
time.
it might have been before my time.
Okay,
We'll do a double check.
I'll look at it, yeah. Yeah,
So I would suggest making a recommendation
there.
to,
it's
to,
still in there, okay, there you go.
In order to prevent manifest injustice.
I don't know anything about this history.
Okay, well, that's not part of the building code that was amended in, that's not what it says in the actual code, and that's always been an issue. I would suggest, well,
Well, I think what we can do is adopt as written right now. We can ask city attorney's office when they go, chance, we're making notes to review this, and if there's anything significant, we'll bring it back.
okay,
Does that sound fair?
yeah, I wish I had more, but I could,
That's kind of in their line.
I remember
Yeah.
it well, so does Lee Queen. We can all share our stories about it.
yes, plenty.
We were on the
stories.
board at the time.
Yes,
So you're saying, Janet,
The city law-
Janet, once since you identified yourself by voice, you gotta identify yourself by name and title now.
I'm sorry. Yes, Janet Smalter, Plans Examiner. And it had to do with a restaurant here in town that had an accessibility issue, and they presented an appeal to the board, and that's when this manifest injustice was introduced by the attorney. And I don't exactly remember the story correctly. I don't want to repeat it now. So, but I do remember that that's when this occurred. So,
So what I'm hearing is this was put in as a result of that?
yes.
I can remember now. Thank you very much, Janet. There were, the plans were reviewed for this particular, and it was missed, and then it was somehow, I caught it on the final inspection. And the attorney said that was unfair, that it had gone through plan review and constructed, and then catch it on the final inspection, and that was a manifest injustice. And the city's opinion was, but it didn't comply with the code. It was a violation, it was an ADA violation. But they got that into the code, and the city's stance was, we interpreted the code correctly. It was caught late, but they chose to add that in the manifest injustice into the code.
So this makes sense to me now. The way summary is, based on this case that you both recall, the city attorney's office decided to put this language
Yes.
in
Yeah.
as to prevent that from occurring.
Or if that
That's-
is, if a manifest injustice was committed.
Here's it.
Okay,
Then,
with that knowledge, I would say we still adopt as written and we will double check with city attorney's office.
yes,
Okay,
that'll be great.
so my recommendation would be, which we're bringing back the demolition. I would can you give me those article numbers?
13 was,
I would recommend for the board to first
13 is good,
consider
14.
approving the dangerous structure ordinance as amended and presented to the board today.
Is there a motion? One, is there a second? Sean? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. This is 13
Opposed.
now.
That was 13.
Okay, opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, then the second recommendation I would make is the board consider adoption as written, Article 18, Building Code, Board of Appeals by code. With us, as written, with us double checking on the manifest injustice language that Adrian and Janet pointed out to us.
Can we vote on it if we don't have a final language?
Well, we're voting on it as written
As
right
written,
now.
okay.
If it changes, we're going to bring it back to
Okay.
you.
All right, all right. Is there a motion to approve as stated by? Zach?
I'll move.
All right, motion by Laura. Is there a second?
Second.
I can't remember if you said it. Say it was a tie. It was a tie. How about second by Neil? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Okay, and we will bring demolition back with those two changes for consideration at the next meeting.
All right.
Thank you guys for that.
Those. Now, I think we're on to continuation of the NEC. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with this particular item, after the last meeting, there was a discussion about dwelling units. I sent Brian and Matt some information forward to the board. I don't know how much they read that, or you all have had opportunity to read that. But early on in our discussion at the beginning, of the review of the NEC, I've made mention that we have to be aware that the dwelling units are covered under the IRC, but there are also dwelling units covered by the NEC. And I asked at that time, what was the language? And I can't remember who said, but it said everything but bedrooms were excluded. Well, that wasn't accurate. If you look at this 2017 NEC, everything is excluded. It's hallways, closets, and everything under the 2017 NEC. So as the board reviewed that, we basically would be kind of watering down, that's not the term, making it less restrictive if we adopted it as we were this discussion. And all the discussions were basically about 1 and 2 family detached structures. And under the NEC, the NEC does not cover 1 and 2 family detached structures. That's covered by the IRC. Now, the International Code Body and the NFPA have worked to make those languages together. So if you look in the IRC, you will see the corresponding section in the NEC. So I don't think that the work that the board has done to this point it wasn't a waste of time. So if staff could apply everything that we've done so far that relates to 1 and 2 family dwellings or dwellings, that can be transferred into the IRC. So everything that the board discussed, the panels, we were going to bring up, the board was going to bring up issues about the cost and that sort of thing. And as I tried to get those ordinance and those minutes from the city, I tried to look through all my hard drives. I couldn't find them. Finally, I had to do a super AI search, and I dug them up. And as I read through those minutes, and I sent those out, well, Matt and Brian sent those out. As I read through those minutes, it started to come back to me. So I'll give you a little bit of background why the board, the electrical board, and I was an ex officio member on the board at that time. Why the board at that time decided to just go as the NEC, no restrictions or whatsoever. There was a situation involved where First Construction was building a building on, is it 8th or 9th or 10th? It was a little small building. Now it's a 7 or 8 story structure, and I can't remember it's right on the
Pachamamas.
Pachamamas.
Marriott, the Marriott. No.
That's Pachamama.
It was farther to the north.
888, I think is.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
requirements.
Yeah, so they're blowing and going and they're building on it, and they put NM cable or Romex past the 4th floor. We called it on an inspection, and they didn't want, it would, of course, the cost of pulling that out and doing it in metal conduit would have been, so they approached the board with a code modification. The board had discussion, so fire was very involved. Fortunately, Chris is not here because he was part of those discussions. Fire was very involved in those discussions. And they ended up making a trade-off. They would remove, there was a code amendment that limited NM cable or Romex to 3 floors. And if you read back through those emails and board minutes that I gave out. So the board said, okay, we will remove the restriction on 3 floors, but we want to expand the AFCI and GFCI protection. And mainly what they want, the reason why is Chief King had a concern about the downtown apartments and the risk of fire and conflagration, because we had just experienced a huge bike, the Sunflower bike. It wasn't too far in the past, but if some of you don't know, I mean, if they brought in trucks from Olathe, it was a huge fire. And the board felt at that point, and the governing body, we always provided extra protection to the downtown district. I think there's even it's a fire district or something like that. So the trade-off was, yeah, okay, we'll remove the restrictions for the NM cable, but we're gonna completely eliminate with the exception of kitchens. That was the only thing in the NEC that was still struck out. And if we can look at that, that's what it is. So basically to say, if the board goes with what if this board goes with what the amendments that was discussed, number one, it would lessen the code and the fire safety restrictions or protections for downtown. And it would kind of go back on what the previous board had discussed and the reason why they made those discussions. Now, I'm not saying that this particular board can't go back and revisit it. After I found that information and brought all that information back, and I want to emphasize that, particularly, I want to emphasize that the NEC, when it talks about dwelling units, it's talking about hotels, multifamily, and everything else. And when we bring those discussions about the cost, JJ, electrical panel, I think the minimum is 100 amp in I think it is, I don't think it's 60, but we're talking about fewer breakers, less wiring. The cost of providing AFCI protection in apartments is going to be less. That was brought up. We had testimony from First Management, who does multifamily apartments, and they said they weren't seeing a problem
with the tripping.
Yeah. And then somebody else, we had another, I think Everhart, we had another engineer on the board, and he had designed multifamily and they weren't seeing a problem.
Right.
And
Heathcote.
yeah, Heathcote. And another part of that discussion was typically you got a maintenance man servicing those. So it's usually not a problem for single family homeowners. So I don't know where the board wants to go with this, but I just thought it would be important to bring that up and discuss it. If we want to go with the code as written, Because at this point, do we still want to eliminate closets and hallways for apartments, or we just want to leave the code as written and move forward?
Adrian, as an engineer of record that I design these facilities, like I said, I will go by the most stringent code. So in my opinion, the commercial side, the multifamily side should stay as it's written in the NEC. It should not be downgraded any, because I would not do that as an engineer. And I don't think any engineer is really going to come in here and go, oh, they're not gonna, we're going to save one here, one there. There's a little liability on us when we start doing that. So I think you leave the commercial side as is, and then we look at the single and two-family dwelling where it's separate.
Yeah.
I would concur with that.
And just
Laura.
to add on to both of your comments, I think, and I'll let Matt might tag team this response. I thought where we landed last time is we recognized the NEC was not the 1 and 2 family. And that we had the work that we did was not in vain, and that we would pretty much do what Laura just said and adopt the arc faults as written in the NEC as written and not mend out or strike anything. And then we would take the electrical in the IRC, and that's where the big decision needs to make how far we go. Whether we, currently it's bedrooms only. And then the way I remember is we were going to strike out some habitable areas such as hallways and closets and so forth. So,
Well, yeah, but currently as written as the ordinance, bedrooms are not stricken.
no, they're required.
Right, okay.
No, everything but bedrooms.
Yeah, and then just to clarify that, as it applies to dwelling units, not the rest of the electrical code.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
right. No, we're on the same page.
Okay,
So I think we're closer than we might think on that.
yeah,
No, I appreciate all those comments.
yeah.
We have notes from the past 3, 4, 5 meetings on the NEC. Tomorrow, myself, Brian, and Justin are gonna meet and parse out to overgeneralize and simplify the residential versus the commercial. We'll apply the IRC notes to the IRC, which we'll review later. We will update the ordinance for the NEC, which is going to amend much less, if not anything at all, in terms of the AFCI for rooms. And then at the beginning of our next meeting on the 28th of October, I believe, is when we will see a clean, updated ordinance to review and vote on. That's going to combine our discussions. Laura sent great notes, Adrian sent great notes, KJ sent great notes. We'll get that into the ordinance. We'll pull out the residential portions, and then we should have a final draft. We will have a final draft on the 28th to review.
There probably won't be all those highlights of everyone's comments. We'll strike all that out.
It'll be clean.
We will highlight areas that need to be discussed
Yep.
that we amended or what it says that are relevant. So it will be as clean as it can be in that regard.
So what happens to all the, cable and all that stuff then? Is that already been,
That's already been amended. We're gonna carry that over.
Yeah, we struck that.
You struck the amendment out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had it amended.
It was amended to below 3 floors, and now it's gone.
Yeah. So, just to reiterate what Matt said, we think we're getting close where we can knock on laminate. We think we're at the point where we can hopefully get the NEC in the version that we can either vote to approve it or get it close.
Okay, and so we did have some more work to do on the NEC. Where do we leave off?
The last point we have is 230.85, which is emergency disconnects. Staff had originally proposed to amend that out. Fire took a look, said we'd like to keep it in, so it's our intention to keep it in. That's the last point that we haven't discussed yet on the NEC.
And that is actually for 1 and 2 family dwellings are required to have emergency disconnect.
That is 1 and 2 family dwellings. Thank you for that, Laura. Yes.
technically in the IRC then?
Correct. Yep. So then you won't see that next meeting. That'll be in the IRC meeting, right? So-
So this is just discussing that emergency in the NEC, not the IRC, is that what you're saying, or are we? applying this to both.
Well, I think if you have something of relevance that you can hit
To
on
the
that,
NEC, we can discuss.
yeah, I think, or we can take note of what you're gonna say about the IRC and we can keep that for further discussion.
Can you pull that up, and see what we're talking about? Is that a grouping of disconnects and everything, or what is that? Or what are we
It
talking about?
actually says, for 230.85E for equipment, it actually says for single family and two-family dwellings.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
says
listed
it
in the
explicitly,
NEC, so
yeah.
it might not. How that works is the IRC covers single family and two-family dwelling units unless it's not covered. And then if it's not covered in the IRC, then you have to refer to the NEC.
Right,
So-
and then the reason why they have a full list of dwelling units in the NEC is that some jurisdictions don't adopt the IRC.
Right.
So if they don't adopt it, almost all jurisdictions.
You have to have
adopt the
something covered,
NEC.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's covered,
It's covered.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's this section, and to Laura's point, for 1 and 2 family dwelling units right away.
So we'll simply not strike that. We'll just keep it in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, staff, I personally, I won't say staff need time to update the ordinance, the NEC ordinance, and then we'll have it a clean copy to finalize discussion and potentially vote on in 3 weeks. And then we will, to beat it into the ground, apply our IRC discussions to the IRC portion.
Right, and there's, the reason why there's no need to strike that, JJ, is because the code says all work on 1 and 2 family dwellings are covered under the IRC, so there's no need to strike that.
I guess my question would be on commercial, if you're going in and, so you're saying that everybody's agreeing to leave the emergency service disconnected, right? But my question is, when you go in and like, if you have, say a service caught on fire or something, or the tenant has something that they need to replace downtown, and they don't currently have an emergency service disconnect, there are big challenges sometimes with getting that equipment to fit in some of those areas. So my question is on new construction, yeah, I guess I could totally get behind that, because there's almost zero instances that you would even need to strike it out on a commercial. But in remodels, it can be challenging.
It's not required commercially.
But we're talking 1 and 2 family, right?
This is only for one of
This is
Yes.
only for 1 and 2 family.
Yeah. It is not required
Okay, well then I
commercially in this
definitely would be
jurisdiction.
worried about it in the remodel scenario on one family, even more than commercial. Because it's extra challenging to fit it on an old house downtown where you did not have that requirement before. And the houses are so tightly built and you can't hardly fit the equipment. And if I go into somebody's house and have to upgrade that service because it's old and outdated, and now I have to put in an emergency service disconnect, it can be very, very almost impossible sometimes to accommodate that on a
JJ, are you
remodel.
talking about houses down in the downtown,
Houses.
that's covered under the residential
Yeah, so
code?
we'll get to that,
We'll
but
get to
yeah,
that.
I understand what you're saying when we get to that point.
Okay.
We
So I guess what
confuse-
does this apply to then? If it doesn't,
If the jurisdiction doesn't adopt the IRC, then it falls back to the NEC, so you just leave that in there
you
and
just
they
leave
say
that
the
in there
same
and then we
thing.
can address it on there.
Yeah, it says the
I'm
same
sorry, I'm new to this, so,
That's right.
Nope, you're good.
yeah, okay. I did.
We confused it.
That makes sense to me. So, and it does not apply to commercial, right?
No,
Yeah,
this
because most commercial places, they don't even have to have that.
exterior disconnect.
Yeah.
There are jurisdictions around that require it, and in
Yeah.
like certain states and just, we work all over the country. We'll run
Right.
into it about
Well, you know better than me.
20% of the time.
But yeah, because I see that all the time on prints where they don't have that
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
You know, Big.
I think
buildings.
Ottawa has it for some reason.
In fact, I see ones where they have the main breaker in the center of the building. And it's drawn that way by the engineer and approved and stamped.
Yeah.
So that's not really applying to commercial, this is only for the 1 and 2 family, we can address it.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry for,
it's a worthwhile.
We were
My first time here.
reviewing the NEC for a couple meetings
Yeah.
thinking it was,
yeah,
across,
I'm fine with all that.
across the
Okay.
board.
I mean, that cleared it up for me, so.
Yeah,
Well, confusing to me.
Do you wanna, the only thing that I stated about the NEC on the commercial side was that one code section, and I sent some language to you guys, and I'll clarify it.
Yep.
Where it says if you use the International Energy Code to do your lighting calcs, you have to add the energy management system, blah, 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 blah. That's ridiculous. We don't see that in any commercial anywhere in the country. So I'm kind of revising that to say, you guys, if you use the International Energy Code calculations, you're good.
So
I thought we had-
you're in the process of doing that?
Yeah, I sent it.
Oh, you already said it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we amended that in, her comments.
Yeah, we agreed on it. We
Okay,
just
Okay.
needed the precise language from
Yeah.
Laura, which she sent, so.
Okay.
And then show windows, I brought up my
Show windows,
Okay.
yep.
Yep.
So that'll be, you want me to pull that up now?
Yeah, let's,
Adrian?
yeah. Was Laura had one and I had one to show windows.
This was Laura's, yeah. So this is a good example of some notes we'll combine into a clean ordinance and then we can talk about it. But it was more or less agreed upon, right, by everybody. We just needed the language from the experts. This was your first one, right, Adrian?
and what the show window pretty much came down to is there's a definition saying if it's used for advertising, for marketing, stuff like that, then you provide the receptacles. If not, it's not
Yeah,
required.
yeah, if you could pull that up, Matt.
Attachment?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I did on this is I noticed that in the NEC, show windows were defined. And then I looked back over the video and we were concerned about whether it was on the first floor or what occupancy group it was. And then I looked at the definition of show windows. The definition basically covered what we had concerns about. So I took the definition and
Changed it.
I just added in other than group R and portions of group R, and that goes in to when we have the businesses and that sort of thing. So I think this language should cover what the board, I went back over it a couple of times and let me know if you think this covers our concern about that, just basically a blanket statement saying all commercial windows.
Right.
So if it's used as a show window, or if somebody comes in and remodels and turns a strip mall into a restaurant, then it has to comply with the energy code, with the electrical code. Anybody have any problems with that language?
Makes sense.
Yeah, and the term "and other than group R" is used throughout the electrical code. Yeah. So we can add that if nobody has any.
Yeah, I'll add it and you'll get it a week or two before the meeting next week. So you guys will have another chance to read through it and make sure.
Yeah.
So I think that should wrap up the NEC, if I'm not mistaken. After the final, we look at the final language.
Correct, yeah. So that'll be on the agenda for next week to ensure we just agree on the language.
Goes without saying, we appreciate everyone's work on this. I think everyone's getting a little bit more comfortable. I know it can get very confusing when we have multiple people putting in comments and we're color coordinating them, trying to make it all make sense, but
I didn't say that.
I tried to use purple.
I know you too well, but we'll get there. I think we're getting there on this.
Something that we just need to make sure we clarify is for the residential. Make sure that we say, because there are interpretations out there, you have to use the more stringent of the two, and if we don't take it out of 70,
We wanted to
we
clarify.
want to
that.
clarify that the IRC overrides 70
Yeah.
for these applications.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point.
That's covered under the application in first administrative portion.
Okay.
Of the language of that, yeah, we can,
Says you shall wire according to the, it doesn't say consider other code, it says the IRC.
under the residential code, okay.
Yeah.
So that's something we don't have to, it's not amended, it's already there,
It's already there.
okay.
Okay, do we have, if we're finished with that,
Miss Bobby sent another letter
okay, with
yesterday.
public comment?
Bobby, did you want to speak to this?
I was simply bringing back some cost information after talking to some electricians. I didn't connect with JJ. I said I would, but we didn't connect, so I'm sorry about that. But this is after surveying some electricians in our group. This is their estimate that they came back with, to expand it beyond just the bedrooms, the AFCI requirements into living spaces. It would be 200 to 400 in an entry-level house. And then, you know, depending on how big the house is, obviously, and how many rooms it was, it would easily be an expense of 1,500 to 2,000. I also wanted to share, although it's not written in there, that some data that I have from the U.S. Fire Administration from a 2023 report shows that there were 23,700 electrical malfunction fires in 2023. And that number was pretty consistent despite the expansion of AFCIs in codes and in all rooms of the houses as the code is written. So that number stayed pretty consistent. So it really didn't have an effect overall on the number of fires. I just thought that was interesting data that I ran across after I read that.
Something that it might not cause an all-out fire, like I've got 2 outlets burned in my basement right now. I mean, it'll burn the outlet. So, you know, an arc fault might not catch the whole house on fire, but you'll see the burn marks around that outlet, and I've had to have them replaced. I've got another engineer that has a really well-built house too, and he's got one in his house right now. So, I mean, it might not burn the house down, but it will cause, you know, burn out the outlet, and then if anyone puts anything in it, you might have a big fire then. So.
And when outlets get loose.
Mhm.
All right, well, Bobby, thank you very much. We're gonna revisit this when we get to the IRC. I got a question to staff. When do we start reviewing the electrical portion of the IRC? When would that take place?
Not this year. February and March of
Okay.
next year.
Okay, so
IRC total.
what's our agenda after the NEC?
NEC, 1028 is gonna be final for NEC, but then we're gonna start getting into plumbing, mechanical, fuel and gas codes. And then I won't give you the dates, but it'll be existing building code, accessibility code, the following meeting. Taking the end of the year off for holidays. We can fill a date if we need to. I have 12/9 just in case. Then starting in January, energy code for a couple meetings, IRC in February through the end of March, IBC for April, May, and into June, and then fire code July, August, September.
November, December, okay.
Yeah,
So-
I think originally some of our schedule was pretty
Ambitious.
ambitious. I was going to use aggressive, that might be too extreme. Ambitious is a good word.
Ambitious is more
So
accurate.
we're recognizing that we want to go at the right pace, then it appropriately. So when we get to the finish line, we're in a good spot. So we do have 2 more meetings for this year, October, late October, and then one in November.
10/28, 11/18.
And then we gave you guys December off.
Yeah.
I will be out in the country 11/18, so if we could just get, I think that's probably mechanical and plumbing at that point.
Right now, it's existing building code and accessibility, but
Okay, good.
to that point, if somebody's away for a certain meeting, these dates are listed in the meeting request, so go through it. That's a good example, Laura. If you're out for a pretty important implementation date, we can maneuver around that and discuss a different ordinance or a different code.
Yeah, we'll definitely want Laura here for the
Yeah.
MEP, the rest of the MEP stuff.
Weren't we going to try to bring the mechanical, plumbing and fuel gas code to this body before the end of the year?
Yeah, it's on for next.
Okay,
And I don't think there's any major changes to.
we're bringing that next because internally
that reason.
review,
Right.
for that reason, we think it should be a pretty straightforward thing.
We'll have NEC next week, these.
But I gotta keep some staff from telling me I messed up, so maybe that's a joke, Kimberly.
Yeah, they're still, I was gonna say, they're still on.
Yeah. We- Hopefully that's a pretty quick review as well. She gives a thumb up.
Was that fun?
It was a finger.
Wrong finger.
Well, on the screen, it's a thumb. Behind the camera, who knows?
It is a public meeting. That was the end of my agenda.
Okay, well, if there's no more business, then Bobby, do you have any more public comment or?
We did ask if there's any public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who would know that? Is there any public?
Oh, we can look.
Yeah, we can look.
Okay.
If there's anyone in public comment now, please let us know. Go to participants. It's just all internal staff, so we have nobody online. So you can close public comment, Adrian.
Okay.
Oh, Bobby.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we are putting on continuing education in the first week of December, so many in here attend our classes, but everybody's welcome to attend. We're doing the existing building code this year that I think is gonna be really interesting. We've never had a class on that. Brian and his crew and Matt, they'll be teaching some classes, so anybody here would like to attend complimentary, I'd be happy to just open it up to you to become more knowledgeable about what some
Does that
instructors are
include, does
saying.
that include me and Matt?
Yes, anybody, everybody here
We
can
have a
come.
special table for you.
Yeah.
The
She broke me down.
registration-
I gave in and we're
And I can
presenting.
make that available to the whole board so they can see all the classes that are being taught.
You got my update today?
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
looks good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more business, I'd make a motion to adjourn. I mean, would somebody make a motion to adjourn?
So.
Warren
Second.
and Sean, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4:05, that's pretty good.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you in 3 weeks.
All righty.